We added nearly 43,000 new residents to the Houston area, and as someone who lives here, I can tell you that we feel it. Obviously, when we chat, people ask me, hey, Carolyn, what's your favorite? So in no particular order, here are 5 West Houston suburbs that we love. Hi, I'm Carolyn Bauerschlag, a local real estate agent right here in West Houston, helping people just like you relocate from all over our country right to our great city. Katy, Texas obviously holds a special place in my heart. I was born and raised here, and it's where we live today. Katy is a popular choice for people who are relocating to our area for the schools, obviously. You've heard me talk about that before, but also because it provides a very easy thoroughfare. We have I-10, we have West Park Toll, we have the Grand Parkway, and those are 3 major arteries that can kind of get you wherever you need to go, depending on where you work. Now, in my mind, Katy is kind of split between South and North Katy. We see 2 different price points or 2 different levels of affordability here. So on the south side, I would say your homes are going to be more expensive. They're typically part of a master plan community like Cinco Ranch or Firethorn or Seven Meadows. Those values range anywhere from maybe $400,000 up to $1.2 million. And in 2024, the median price point south of I-10 for Katy ISD was $502,000. Now that can be kind of rich for some people's blood. So if you need something that's a bit more affordable, we often encourage people to look north of I-10, which is still Katy ISD. And you're going to find a median price point there that last year was $351,000. So on the north side of Katy, we might see fewer master plan communities. Cane Island is the main one that I think of when I think of master planned. There's a new one going in right now in 2025 called Grange. And that's a very exciting development. But I would say in general, most of these neighborhoods north of I-10 are a little bit smaller, fewer amenities, and just more affordable in general. So more new constructions happening up that way. Builders are offering incredible incentives and discounts. So $350,000-ish is the median price point you can expect in Katy, Texas, north of I-10. Another extremely popular West Houston suburb is going to be Fulshear, Texas. Now, this might be, depending on who you ask, a good thing or a bad thing. So kind of some of your Fulshear OGs, or the original people that have been out there, say, hey, we don't like all of this new growth. And in fact, Fulshear's been picking up a ton of press. Just in the last calendar year, they picked up 27% in their population. And that's huge, right? Because infrastructure, your roads, your grocery stores, everything can't support population growth maybe the way that you want it to quite that fast, right? So Fulshear is very popular, I would say pre-COVID, let's say, in the last 5 years. Very popular for having a little bit more green space, a little bit more elbow room. Not quite the same crush or high density of people that you might feel just over in Katy, one suburb over. But what Fulshear is quickly becoming is popular because people hear about it. The tax rates are lower. Lamar Consolidated ISD has great schools. You get more of that communing with nature that you might not get in other places. And that's causing a very significant spike in growth. Now, we see a very wide range in home values out in Fulshear. Fulshear supports several different communities. You have entry level. You have 2 very popular 55 and up communities that are catering to folks that are perhaps on a more reduced income. So you'll see Fulshear Lakes, you'll see Bonterra, you'll see Del Webb. All of these are communities that cater to your 55 and ups. Entry-level price points might be around $300,000. And then we see home values go all the way up into the millions for people who have something that feels more along the lines of country estates. So Fullbrook is a very popular one for some gorgeous acreage real estate. Weston Lakes is a beautiful gated community that has custom homes on bigger lots. But your median price point in the Fulshear area still comes in a little bit more affordable than South Katy at $452,000. Another great West Houston suburb is Cypress. And when I think about Cypress, I think about the areas along 290 and up and down the Grand Parkway that edge up into the Northwest Houston area. So 2 of the biggest zip codes I would say in Cypress are going to be 77429, which are kind of along that 290 artery, and also 77433, which is kind of where a lot of the new construction is that's happening up and down the Grand Parkway. In fact, 77433 was rated the 2nd hottest zip code in all of the United States for 2024. I think of Cypress as a slightly more affordable cousin to South Katy and to Fulshear, right? So sometimes we will see people say, it doesn't matter to me if my child is in Cypress Fairbanks ISD or Lamar Consolidated. We would just really like an easy, beautiful home to live in. Cypress has great schools. So they'll pick Cypress because it's just a little bit easier to get your foot in the door. Some of your bigger master plan communities in the Cypress area are going to be Bridgeland, which has been developed over 25 plus years. You're going to see things like Town Lake, which are a little bit more expensive and a little bit more interior. You're going to see some of the older, more staid, famously lovely neighborhoods in Cypress on the north side, which are going to be places like Longwood. Coles Crossing is extremely popular. Fairfield is very popular as well. So Cypress offers a great option for people who might have to commute somewhere along that 290 artery as well. Great schools, low tax rates, plenty of things to love about Cypress, Texas. Another very popular West Houston suburb is going to be Richmond, Texas. Now, when I think of Richmond, I think of mostly the area that runs along 1093 or the West Park Toll, kind of on the south side of the West Houston suburbs. This area is very popular for people who have to commute into the Med Center and still want to have access to great schools for their kids. Richmond is the most affordable on the list I have here for you today. The median price point in 2024 was $393,000. Now, Richmond's kind of interesting because we have properties that are custom and on acreage. So giant estates that'll be in gated communities or on acreage property that's been part of someone's family forever. And you'll also see pocket neighborhoods or communities where they're on those traditional 65 or 7,000 square foot lots where you get neighborhood amenities that you would expect. Now, Richmond is divided between two different main school districts, and I would say that the value changes according to the school district that your particular home is zoned to. So there's portions of Richmond that are zoned to Lamar Consolidated, which I would say is probably slightly more preferable. And then there's portions that are zoned to Fort Bend County, and Fort Bend County doesn't necessarily get the same attention from niche.com or for the Texas Education Agency as Lamar Consolidated does. So I would say the homes appreciate differently according to which specific school district that they're in. Another thing to be mindful of in Richmond is that it is a little bit more flood risk prone than maybe Katy, Texas, and parts of Fulshear. So when I hear Richmond, the first thing I want to do is make sure that I overlay that flood map because the Brazos Valley kind of watershed is all over this Richmond area. So if you're in the 500-year floodplain, you're probably going to be okay, but there are very significant areas of Richmond that did go underwater during Harvey, and it's something that I don't want you to get caught up in. Another kind of interesting quirk in the Richmond area is that you want to make sure that you're not in full view of a lot of high-tension power lines. For some reason, there's a very high collection of high-tension power lines, and I mean those big, kind of like 6 to 8 foot story looking metal structures that have 20, 30 power lines that are coming off of them. And there's just a higher density over there. And this is not obviously everywhere, but they do traverse a good portion and they do tend to affect the value of your real estate. So I would say things to watch out for in Richmond if you are going to buy out in that area is number one, your floodplains, and just that your house doesn't back straight onto one of those high tension power lines. And the last major West Houston suburb that I think of is Brookshire. Brookshire is having a huge amount of explosive growth, and it's getting a lot of attention from the West Houston Economic Development Council, from businesses that are relocating into our area. There's a huge amount of business that's been announced along the I-10 corridor where people are putting up power plants, storage facilities, potentially tech manufacturing, all in and around this area. Now, Brookshire's kind of an interesting case because it's kind of a catch-all. It's in Waller County, but it picks up portions of Lamar Consolidated ISD, Katy ISD, and also Royal ISD. And as you can imagine, all of the homes that are in those different areas are going to appreciate differently according to the specific school district that they're in, right? So Brookshire, I would say, is kind of the final frontier of West Houston right now, and it is the most quickly changing. The median price point in Brookshire right now is listed at $412,000. And I do expect that to change just a little bit over time. And the reason for that is that there is a ton of new construction that's happening in the area. And builders are the first to raise their price, but they're also the first to lower. And right now, what we're experiencing is builders offering a massive amount of incentives just to get people to write a contract. So we may see that median price point trace into a more affordable place over the next year or two. Of course, if you're thinking about relocating to the West Houston area, I would love to be your realtor. Give me a shout. I'm a living, breathing person, and I would be happy to take your phone call. And if you found value in what you watched today, make sure to click the link below and subscribe. We put great content like this out every single week. See you soon.